Hello everyone, welcome to today's DoSpace webinar. I will be your host, Ruth. I am a community learning specialist here at DoSpace, and I am sitting here at DoSpace. Our classes are still online, but I'd like to thank every one of you that are attending right now. But again, like to say, our classes are still only online, but our building for a computer lab is open. Now today, we're going to focus on building your first app with App Lab. I put an emphasis on App Lab here. Oh, looks like, sorry, I was hearing myself over on the Facebook side. I put an emphasis on App Lab here because a lot of people last time we had this kind of assumed that we were going hardcore, getting the Android SDKs and iPhone, like coded Xcode or Swift or C with Android. We're actually focusing more on using code.org to make our app. There is a little bit development with it that's similar to Android development. So this is just a nice place to look at for just getting started. So I kind of dropped a message on just the general information stuff, but also project files. The project file is just a single image of a bunny. We'll be using that. So to get started here, you want to save that image, and then you want to go to code.org and make an account. I'm gonna go ahead and sign out here so I can show what account looks like. Also, if I'm going too fast, if you guys have any questions, you can always ask them right in chat. I'm willing to stop, slow down, pause for a moment, help everyone catch up. Now, I'm just gonna type the name of the website in chat. There we go. You go to that website and it'll take you this here. You can go to the upper right where sign in is, or create account if you don't have one. Right down here it says create an account. Click on that and you get these options. Type your email, your password. If like there's a question about age on there, I'm gonna ask you to like grab a guardian or grown up or a parent or an adult that's around, help you sign up on there. But if you set your birthday, I believe it's 13 years or up, you can skip that. Just letting you know on that. You're that, yeah. Or you'd be like me where you just continue with Google. So I'm gonna give everyone a moment to sign in. I'm just pausing the screen for a moment here to let me sign in. Here we go. So this is what it looks like when you've signed in. I'm gonna give a little bit more moments for people to create an account. But if you're ready, you can just go up to create and click App Lab. Now, while everyone's creating an account, I'm going to show you guys our project that we're doing. So today we're making an app that's basically a simple poke bunny. So you tap it a bunch of times and it gets larger. You like click, 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 or tap. You can like send this to your phone like an app there. And then it tells you how many times you poked the bunny. And that's it. Very simple, easy to do. We're not going to do like really complex stuff like creating a login screen or any of that stuff. Just a simple tap on the screen and it counts how many taps and make a bunny grow larger. And then shrink back down when it's not being tapped. So when you first start creating something, you always want to give yourself like a little task list or a to-do thing in your head. So you're thinking like, how is this app going to work? This helps with programming. So you think, okay, I want a app where I could like tap on the screen a bunch of times and it counts how many times I've tapped on the screen, makes an image larger when I tap and shrinks down. And after 10 seconds, the screen changes and tells me how many times I've touched the screen. That's our list there. Okay, so now I'm gonna come over here. For the first start, you're gonna go up into create on the upper right here. Click on create app lab. There we go, I'm gonna get this page here. First thing I like to do is name my project. So you see Untitled Project there. There's a button that says rename right next to it. I'm gonna rename it and I name it Tap Game. You don't have to name yours that, but I'm gonna name that and then save. There you go. So we got two components to do here. We got a design component and coding. So with designing, that's when we're putting like, it's not just, you know, art, design's not always art. Like, of course, design would be like user testing, make sure a game feels right, make sure everything makes sense. But we also do the art side here, where we have like background, some text, an image, and such. And then after that, we're going to start coding. It's kind of hard to start coding without having something. And a lot of game development, coders start with like squares and then add art in, but we got some image already. So we're going to go ahead. On the upper left, we see like three little like radio buttons, kind of like a radio button, like a shift button, where you can click on code, design, and data. I'm gonna go ahead and click on design, so it's just design. And I got a thing of properties here. So I got a screen on the left. This is my little emulator. And then in the middle right here, there's these buttons components. I can click and drag off, or take a component here, drag off from the screen and delete it. And then on the right side here, it's called Workspace. This is usually where we code, but in design mode, this is where you get to edit the properties of your component here. So first things first, the first one that shows up is screen right here. And we're gonna name that screen main, because that's the main screen people go to that first go in. And there's this little part right below that that says background color. I'm like right in the middle here. I'm gonna circle it. Is background color. There's actually like a little circle next to background color. You can click to change your color. There you go. And again, if any questions, let me know. I'm gonna make this like a dark blue, or maybe I can make it a purple. I'm gonna make it a purple this time. Yeah, and you can just like left click in here and like choose different spots for different colors. Oh. And you could choose an image of the background, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna keep it as this. Okay. So right in the component window right here, it's really nice to have these here, because in other programs you have like, you do a lot of web developing, you have to like type code in your button, code in your other things, like your drop-down menus, got a code in your background and your update or notification bar, status bar is what they usually call it, at the top of the screen, stuff like that, make sure everything's pointed out. You don't have to do that here. We got these components right here, you can just drag in. So think about what we need, like that we saw from this app right here. Let me refresh the page. We got an image and a label at top. So that's all we need. We just need a label, which is that second one right here. Drag it in. It's kind of hard to see because it's so tiny. And we're going to be adding an image. So right in here in properties, right in the middle here, we got label. Usually you want to give everything a specific name, especially when you're coding. You're going to change something with a text. You want to give a specific name. I'm just going to name instructions, but I'm actually not going to do anything with it. But I got ID, instructions. ID is the name of your object or component. Right in there, the ID is how you access it through code. Like if you have a button there, let me drag button. Not going to use button, just showing it. You got a button there, it says button 1. I'll have to code saying on of it, button 1, do this for that specific button. If you want to know how to delete a component, left click, drag it off. And it's gone. If you have any questions, let me know. All I've done so far is change the color of my background. And I got some text right here that's really tiny, kind of hard to see right now. I just kind of edit it. Right below ID says text. Right there is where I would put my instructions. I try to remember where I put. I say poke the bunny as fast as you can, I think it is. Yes. Okay. Poke bunny. Exclamation point. There you go. And right there, it's still kind of tiny. I'm going to change this, the color to black. There we go. So I changed the text to polka bunny. Change it to, actually, it's technically dark blue. You can kind of see it a little bit better there. Width and height does not change the size of the font. If you scroll down a little bit more, this properties box actually has way more stuff in it than the regular main screens, the screen properties here. But if you scroll down, you get your font family and font size and your text alignment. These will be the next three things I edit. So I'm going to change it to center. Oh, this is going a bit fast. Yeah, I could slow down. Sorry about that. The first thing is grab a label, or drag it in, and then change ID to instructions, and you change the text to poke the bunny. Just kind of pausing a bit for people to, if they're following along, also get to that part where they're in the label and such. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I've done this so I could do this really quickly, and I kind of forget there's people trying it for the first time. You're always at the slowest the first time. I was. So I'm gonna be like, I need to slow down. Okay. After you add your label in there, scroll down. So you can change whatever the properties, also how you want it to, the way you want to look, font family, font size, alignment, get it centered within that box in there. Yeah, I'm gonna be changing the font size. 24, you don't have to do the exact same as me. You can customize it how you want it to. I'm probably gonna switch to 36. Nope, 36 is too much. I guess I'll stick it to 24. I'll keep it Arial black. I'm actually gonna go up and change the color to white so it's easy to see. Just that's how I wanna make it. There we go. Actually, that's not true white. There we go. There's true white. And now I can make it bolder. Maybe 28. And you can actually left click in the boxed area in here to move it around. I can like left click it, drag it around. If you want to edit the text, you have to go to the properties to change it. There you go. Now, if anyone here has ever used a text editing program or like something like Adobe Photoshop Illustrator, there isn't an align tool in App Lab. Kind of have to like place things yourself and center it yourself as best as you can. Kind of wish there was a line where you can set things to the center of the screen, be perfectly there. You can do that a little bit in the code, but I wish just no align button, unfortunately. Yeah. I am actually gonna make this a little bit taller. Nope. But 32, 34. Nope, 32 is the max that I could do here. There's also like a little box in the corner you can edit and move around. So there's actually going to be a second label there. The next label you put in is going to say something like, you got 10 seconds. As in right in here. Gonna refresh the screen. I should really just pause it. I just have it where it just goes. You have 10 seconds right there. So the next label you want to add in is that little instruction. So I'm going to left click on the label, drag it in, and do the same thing. I'm going to keep the IDs label too. I'm actually not going to code anything, but when you are making projects, you want to label everything. I'm just not going to, right now, maybe I will be like instructions too. Here we go. And you notice they're turned red for a little bit. That means there's another property that you have or component that you have with the same name. So you have to keep them unique. There you go. And then I'm going to put my text in there. You have 10 seconds. And then I'm going to make the text color white. And I need to increase the font size. Make the alignment center. I'm just customize it how I want to customize it. There we go. And make this box a little bit bigger so it fits the whole thing. Maybe I'll make it 28. Nope, back to 24 so I can have it all in one line. There we go. So I hope everyone saw the project link. I'm gonna paste it again into chat because you will need that downloaded and saved unless you want to find your own image. But that little link right there takes you to this page right here. And then you can download it by clicking the down arrow to save it. And that's just the link that I posted into chat. Yeah, it's keeping it. I found it. It's a free, like a commercial, creative license free thing I found online. But yeah, once you got that image saved, the next thing you can do is, let me circle it, click on image in design under App Lab, grab image, drag it in. There you go. There's your image. You change the width and height and such. And there's this little box in properties. Once you grab image in, scroll down a little bit. There's a thing that says image, and next to it, it says choose. That's the button you want to click. And click right here, choose, and then you get an option to upload your own icons. So an upload or files, and click upload. I believe mine's under downloads. There it is. There we go. There's the bunny. And once you upload your image, you click choose. This is a PNG, so it's transparent background. Click choose, and there it is. It's really tiny. In my original, it showed it actually being much larger than this. I'm actually going to do the opposite here. I'm going to make it where it starts off really tiny and then make it go really big when you touch the screen. But that's it for the first screen. You need a second screen that shows you how many times you have poked the bunny or tapped on the screen here. But first, I'm going to let people have some time there to upload your image in there, and you're ready to start creating the next thing here. Okay, so to create another screen, you could either drag that button right here under the design toolbox and drag it on there, create another screen, or you can click under this menu right up here on your emulator, down arrow, and do new screen. There's a bunch of ways to do different things here. Like, not like other programs where you got like 20 things to do the same thing here. This one, I think there's like only 3. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead, click a new screen. There you go. And I'm right in the middle here. I'm gonna rename my screen and change the background color. So just like we did right in the beginning, but the screen was already created for us, we just need to change the name and then change the background color. I'm gonna change this to game results. You notice it won't let me do any spaces in the name. That's just the thing, because since it's an ID and you're gonna do some code with it, most things that you give names in programming doesn't include spaces. So you can't add a space in there. So I'm just gonna name it game results, or I could just name it results. Oh, I want it. And I'm gonna change my background color. I'm gonna make it green. I'll make it a bright green. It's going to be wildly different from the page before. There you go. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. Now, this one's pretty easy to set up from here. Just giving people some time, bro. But you'll be creating 3 labels. And one of the labels actually is special because it starts off as 0, 0. We're going to code it to tell us the number, how many times we have tapped on the screen. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, grab my label, drag it in, grab another label, drag it in, grab a label, drag it in. I know I'm gonna have 3, so I'm just grabbing 3 ahead of time. Here we go. First one here, I'm gonna type poke the bunny. Second one will be 0, 0, and the third one will be times. So there's the first one. Go in the middle here, the property box. You poke the bunny. 0. Next one, just changing the text, 0, 0. It all depends how you want to do your workflow. You could have it where you finish one component completely, then move the next one, or you can have like an even approach where you have the same amount of progress finished for each one. For text, I wouldn't do that, but I do that with like much bigger projects. Where, like, okay, I want all my pages coded already, but not all the content yet. And the next thing I do, okay, time to add the content. Okay. And back to the top. It also makes it easier if you keep track where you are, but it just depends on your style. I'm just changing all the text to black. Going back to the top here. Change it to Arial. Change the next one. Actually, I'm going to keep that one bold. Next one, Arial. Marks up the first one. Change it to 34. Now placing it. Looks like I'm going down to 32. No, looks like going back to 30. There we go. Fit on the screen here. Next one. And change that to 42. No. 72. 100. 124. Yeah, I'll do 124. There we go. So I'm gonna have to overlay a little bit, so I can grab times right here, bring it down. There we go. Yeah, you can just take the time and want to customize this how you want it. And then I'm gonna make the next one fit the other. Make sure all the alignments are center if you want it to be center. That's 30. Go change this font size to 30. And oops, looks like I made the box a little too small. There we go. Align it how you want to align it. There we go. Okay. So like I said before, you want to keep everything named precisely in here. The only one that we do need to have named for this project ID-wise is click on the 00 here, go to the ID, change the ID name to score label, or just score if you want. I'm going to do a label to be more specific because I'm going to have a variable called score, and I want to know the difference between whatever's holding my score is and what the actual label is. So I'm going to name it score label to be extra specific on it. But that's actually it for the design wise. Like we have, I'm going to go here, switching screens here. Main screen, got poke the bunny. You have 10 seconds, bunny right there. And then results, you poke the bunny number of times. And I change the label here to score label on the middle thing here. Okay. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll refresh this page again here. So think about how you're going to code this. Pausing a little bit. Some people some time. Okay, I'm gonna move on here. I'm just catching up with labels. Okay. By catching up with labels, one person said it just catching up with labels. The upload froze when I click. So I'm assuming that's from the image right here when you are trying to upload an image. To do that, click choose, upload file, choose the file. I will click open. Here it is. Click choose. Goes to this. If it's freezing again, try refreshing the page. If you notice right underneath of the name of your project, it automatically saves occasionally. So if I can refresh here, that takes me back to here. If you have any more problems, let me know. I'm going to take a moment here explaining the next part. I'm just going to show you how to get there. So the next part here is at the upper left. See it there, it's got code design data. We're going to go to code. Yes, We have a total of someone asked, okay, so we have 2 screens in total. And yes, we only have 2 screens in total here. I'm gonna check Facebook here, see if there's any questions on that side. Nope. There you go. Yep, just 2 screens, got main and then results. Main, purple background. Poke the bunny of 10 seconds with the image. So this is 2 different labels right here. An image. Now results, we got 3 different labels. I'm gonna go up to code right here. There. So I'm not gonna touch anything yet, but I'm gonna explain this here. Actually, I will be putting some buttons in. Don't follow along with me yet. Just gonna explain it here. So this is like a pseudo JavaScript language. If you don't know what coding language is, that's fine. This is kind of like Blockly. If you guys don't know what Blockly is, it is a visual coding language that takes like blocks together. Like one would be like an orange block that says if, and you can snap together 2 other things. So on AppLab, you still have that, but it's a little bit different from the other programs they have in here. If you ever tried code.org before, where it's a lot more simplified for the other ones, but this one's a little bit more complex because it's much closer to the real thing with app development. Not exactly, but it's much closer than the other things on code.org. So here we still got the emulator on the left side right here. Instead of having a design components toolbox, we have a regular toolbox. And it's got like all these little blocks in here. And above these blocks in here, there's these different categories. If I click through them, it changes them all together. And if I, again, don't follow me here, I grab, do control here, an if statement right here, you notice in the middle right here, that it doesn't stay as a block at all. It's just if parentheses and 2 little curly braces. That's it in there. The reason why it's doing that, so you can see here, is because of this thing on the upper left over here, there's version history. It's got a little bit of source control here. And then blocks. So if I click show blocks, it changes. I'm gonna grab this, put this here. Now you can see the block. And I click on show text again, it changes. So the blocks together as little puzzle pieces. Oops, wrong one. Show text turns into a little text right here. So this here is just to get people used to from closer to more traditional coding. Blockly is actually not just used by small kids. There are some developers that use Blockly because it helps them code a lot faster than typing everything. And there's some coders that are just really fast at typing where they type instead of using Blockly. But just know, Blockly isn't just used by kids, but this is just here, you know, maybe a workplace or some project or just based on your preference on how you want to work. You can either choose the blocks or the code. You want to type things directly in. In this project here, we are you going to switch back? I'm trying over here. Is there a part where we switch here? Yes, there's only one part in our code that we're going to switch once to the syntax code. Syntax is when it's just these characters instead of blocks. Oh, okay, there's a little bit more to it. Syntax is just the typing in there. Technically, blocks do have that right in there, but I'm gonna call this character syntax mode. So I'm gonna go to blocks here. I'm gonna drag this off. If you're wondering how to delete it, I can drag off right in the middle here, it deletes it. And you can actually fit things in here. If I click in here and drag something in, it works together like little puzzle pieces. They all fit together. So the reason why it does that is so you can't add things in here. Under math, there's these little square shaped things. It won't let me insert it in between, in the mouth of these blocks. It only let me insert it into the place that says ID and click right there. It won't let me put it in between else. It's designed that way so people make less mistakes. But, and I'm going to do that. In the text version, I can just go something like 1 equals 1. Oh, and go back to, oh, let me type x 1. Yeah, well, let me do math time. Var x equals 1, I'm gonna show blocks. Oh, it turned paper for me then, but it could have been an orange thing. Could have been. I go back to show text, type another equal in here. It's not gonna let me switch it back because it's broken, but it's kind of the same. It's just way the puzzle pieces that fit in some things and not in other. It's just because to keep people from making mistakes in here in the Blockly version, just to help you learn. Okay. So now to get started here, because remember, got an emulator, toolbox, workspace. Make sure you have in block mode. Want to follow along? There's a little debugger at the bottom. You're not going to worry much about. So we're going to go to UI control right here. We're going to be mostly working in UI control. And we're going to think about how we're programming this. So you guys can start following along again. So basically here, we want to think of this as like, again, back to our task list here. We want a thing where we tap on the screen, it does something, and then we stop tapping, it does something else. So when I touch the screen, my image changes size, and when I'm done touching the screen, it goes down in size. So there's this little thing, the very first one called on event right here. And on event, we hover over it, it says on event ID type and callback, just to give you a little instruction of how it works. Execute the callback code when a specific event type occurs for that specific UI element ID. Notice it says ID in there. I'm going to go back to main over here, just because this is what I'm programming first. And I'm going to left click, drag on event ID in there. Now, if you can't remember an ID of any of your components you added in, you can actually hover over it. And like mine says ID image 1. I should have named that to Bunny. I could go back and do that, but I'm not gonna, distract things here from what you guys have currently on there. I'm like, I should have named that. Like I said before, it's really important to keep everything very specifically named. So right here it says ID, on event ID for the first event, or argument that we put in there. Each thing's in the parentheses in here is called an argument. So right here, it takes an ID. So I could put a label in there, could put a button in there, or something, a background screen. Well, the screen's a little bit different. Or something else that's like a different component there. I'm gonna put it right here. So look at the name of the ID on your image. I should have named it Bunny, but mine's named image 1. So I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna go over here, type it image 1. There we go. So we get image 1 right here. And the next one is this click. So like I said, I hover over this, it takes ID, type, callback. This one here is type, but it's just an event of how we're interacting with it. To click on the tiny arrow next to click, you get all these options. You got click, change, key up, key down, key press, move up, mouse down, mouse move, and etc. So when we're touching the screen, if we send this on the phone, that's going to be a mouse down and mouse up event. To explain that is when you click a button on your mouse, that is mouse down. When I let go of the click, that's mouse up. It's the same thing with keys. When I press a key, that's called key down. And when I let go of the key, it's called a key up. Another way that's described is press and release. So if I press a key, it's called key press, and I go, and it's key release, or just key down, as in whatever it's down. If you try game development, there are a bunch of different things, or app development, various things like that. There's like all these different names. So I'm gonna go with mouse down. Mouse down is a click, or when I'm touching the screen here. There we go, mouse down. So on event image 1, that's the name of the ID on my monitor here, mouse down. And I want to change the size of that. So again, we're going to mainly stick to UI control here. There's going to be a little bit where we change some time, but most of the stuff is here. So if you're interacting with an element on our screen, it's going to be under UI controls, which stands for user interface, which is most of our app is. And we're looking for a thing that says set size. So I'm scrolling down, looking for set size. Oh, there it is. Set size. So I'm going to left click, drag it in there. Notice it fits right perfectly in there. There we go. Yep, I just scrolled down in the UI and found set size. And you notice here, ID and 2 numbers. I'm going to hover over set size. You're gonna see right there, it takes the ID, so the ID element of our UI, width, and height. So right now, when you put the button down, you want to increase the size. But we want to think about what the size of our image is exactly. I'm going to go to design for a little bit, click on this, and you don't have to follow me here, but maybe you do want to see the exact size. So if I click on this and you look in the middle here, it says width is 100, height is 100. And I go back to code here, set size, width is 100, height is 100. So I'm not going to change those numbers at all. If for the key up, well, actually, no, yes, I am going to change the size because when I press my, like, tap on the screen or press my button down, I want to increase size. So I'm going to go in here, change size, image 1. I'm going to change this. I want to keep this proportional. You know what I mean by that? Don't want to type a number like 100, like 2,412 by like 432. That's gonna make my image really scaled, like stretchy. It'll be like really wide and really short. So I'm gonna make this like 300 by 300. So in programming, whenever you add something, you want to test it. I just add a function here on event mouse down, change the size of my image, and I want to test that. To test that, you can left click run on the left side here. Click run. And when I touch it, it grows in size. And you notice it moves it down too. Uh-oh, that's probably something we want to fix there. You probably want to have it change within the middle here. So even though I had you guys do a little thing here, I'm actually going to go to a thing called set position. So I hold my mouse over set position, position specific element next to Y, screen coordinate, and optionally sets a new width and height for the element. And you notice set size has the width and height, but it does not have X and Y for the position. I'm going to explain X and Y soon. So if you think about it, I kind of want set position over set size. You know, kind of look at it, I'm like, maybe I don't want set size here. Yeah, it's not going to go back. Someone just said mine changed size, but didn't go back. It's not going to go back yet because think about what we programmed here. We only did mouse down, and we put the mouse down or tap on the screen changes size. But we haven't coded anything for shrinking the size. We only increase the size, and that's it. But I'm going to stick to set position. So I'm going to grab size, bring that up. Now, if you're wondering what X, Y, is, if I hover the screen here, Emulator, you notice there's X66 and Y188. That is the coordinates of that pixel on the screen that go all the way to the upper left here. X0, Y0. So the starting X of the upper left pixel is 0. And the upper left pixel for Y is 0. X is left to right, might be opposite from the screen for you guys. This is from left to right. Y is top to down. It's not the same of everything. If you guys have done coordinate plotting graphs in math yet, where you have like setting your X to be a dot here and the Y right here, you notice the X actually starts from the lower left instead of the upper left. And a lot of digital programming, our X and Y starts from the upper left instead. If I go to the left of this right here, that will be negatives. So it'll be like negative X, still positive Y. But if I bring like my cursor up a little bit more, that will be negative Y coming over here. So from right here, we get 0Y. I'm gonna go to where my bunny is. I have to click on design to see where it is. There it is. X position right here is at 105 and 190 on the Y. I'm gonna go to code. I'm gonna set the X to go back here, 105. Yeah, 105, 190. Yeah, I'm gonna change this to 300. 300. Change this ID to image 1 and test. Look, of course it still goes off the screen, so I could actually figure out, let's see, I want to change size, so I can probably bring it over to 90, 150. Bring it to 90. See? Run. So it's a little bit better. You notice it's a little bit closer. I'm sorry. I wish we could do it like text where, hold on, maybe we can. Can we? That's border. No, we can't. I was thinking maybe we could set this to center like this and it'll be fine. No, I'm gonna bring it up to about here, 80, 120. And basically changing my X position up a little bit more, X and Y, so it's a little bit more centered. There we go. Bring this to 70, run, a little bit better. The reason why I'm only changing one number now is because I feel like my height is perfectly fine for where it is. Let me click run, go. I'm okay with that, yeah. But I want to bring it a little bit more to the left. I'm gonna change this 70, probably 50. Run. That's a little bit better. How about 30? Run. Oh, almost there. It's probably 25. And if this was like Android development, I would just set things to grow from the center. Yeah. Set size only makes it both bigger and smaller. Yes, that's correct. For a mouse down, we're gonna do another thing here. Okay, run, click. There we go. That's about where I want it. Yeah, and I'm gonna make it much more larger. 400 by 400 pixels. Oh, it goes way off screen. I'm gonna stick to 300, 300. I'm not gonna spend extra time trying to center it again, but they grow. Okay, now there's the question is, so set position does size and place? Yes, it does. Set size only does size, but set position does position and size. I don't understand why they included width and height to set position. They just kind of did for when they were creating this type of coding. But it's nice that they have both, you know, have all the properties together once instead of separate things. And then set size only makes it bigger and smaller. Yes, well, once. So think about we're on event, image, mouse down. This only happens once. And I could add more set positions in here and add more things, but that makes it happen all at once when I click on the screen, and I don't want that. So what think about what I'm gonna do? You got something for when mouse down, but we need something else for mouse up. Now, there's a little fun thing here. Can I duplicate it? No, darn, I was hoping that. So the next thing I'm gonna do here is on event for mouse up. So it's gonna be the exact same thing here, except for a little bit differences on some points. I'm gonna drag in on event, image 1, or the name of your image, and then click on the arrow here, mouse up. And then I'm gonna do set position, scrolling down, looking for set position, here it is, and 100, 100. This would be for image 1. Yep. Here we go. It is mad at me for some strange reason. Oh, it's because I didn't have the other quotation mark in there. So it's very syntax sensitive. You have to have those quotation marks in there for IDs. And it's 100, 100. Now I have to remember again. I'm gonna go back to design here for the X and Y. So it's 105, 190. Here we go. So 105 for the X, 190 for the position of the Y. There we go. So I got on event, image 1, mouse up. There you go. And set position. Now this position is has a smaller width and height than the other in a different spot too. So I just added something new here. I'm gonna test it. Oh, looks like nothing's happening. I wonder what's going on here. Reset it. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Now there's some weirdness going on here. So I am going to change this to 25 and 120. Run. I'm looking if I spelled something wrong in here. I'm going to get rid of this temporarily. Run. Yep. I'm going to get rid of this temporarily. Run. Nope. Oh, there's something else wrong. I'm gonna refresh my page. Good. Yep. Something else wrong. Okay. Grab that in. Change this to image 1. Mouse up. I'm gonna run. Making sure it works. Okay, good. Set. Now set position. Yeah, I guess my browser timed out. Or maybe I spelled something wrong. It's probably something I spelled wrong. 105, 190, run. There we go. Okay, so now I'm clicking on it. Mouse down makes it larger. Mouse up makes it smaller. So there we go. Now we got a tapping in there where you're tapping. Makes it very large. So we got our main things here. Think about what we need to do next. Letting people, you know, make their functions in there in time while I explain this. So we got mouse down, makes the image larger. Mouse up makes it smaller. But we also need a few other things. We need a timer that counts down from 10. And we need something to count how many times we are clicking on the screen. So first thing we're going to do is that usually we want to add our score first, but this time I'm going to do a countdown, so we can go to the next screen, because we can't really check our score until we go to the next screen. One of the participants says, I did it, woo, yes, it's great, yeah, to get it done. Yeah, so next thing, we could do score first, but I'm going to do timer and have that set go to the next screen so I can see my score. We could do a thing called like print screen or write screen and show our score there before we go to the next screen. That is a programmer's debugger tool to count down their values just in case they don't get to the score yet. Okay, so next thing we're going to do here is add a timer. The thing is, if you look in here, under UI control, there's no timer in there. It's under somewhere else. I believe it's under control. Yep. So next thing you want to do is go from toolbox, go to control, right in here, control, scroll down, and we're going to do set timeout. Now, if you're wondering about the difference between get and set, get is getting to the current time that you have in the game, and setting it is setting the time to what you want. So I'm going to grab set timeout and drag it in. There we go. Another thing here I want to point out is that a lot of times programming, the computer reads the first lines and goes down the list and does what it's told to do as it's going down the list. So I'm actually going to grab timeout and try to fit the top right here, because I want the computer set timer first. As soon as you get into the app, set time. Immediately have that done and over with. Okay, so we've got set time in here. And what we want is after a certain amount of time, change screen. So I'm going to go back to UI controls there. And then I'm looking for a thing that says set screen. So after a certain amount of time, change the screen. There's a thing called set screen in here. Looking for it. I think it's near the bottom. Yep, at the bottom here. There we go. And you see right there, set screen, the name of our screen. So I'm going to go in here. Mine is results for my second screen. I'm going to change this to results. Oh, make sure you spell it right, or it's going to be very confused about where to go. There you go. And I just added something. I'm going to test it. There you go. Oh, that changed really fast. What we need to do, you need to change the amount of time. Now, this might be a weird place to see it, but the time is right here. So go back to control just temporarily, hover over set timeout. It tells us set a timer execute code when that number of milliseconds has elapsed. So that 1,000 right there is 1 second. It's 1,000 milliseconds. That is 1 second. If I want to be 10 seconds, I just add a 0 and then test. I'm doing good here. Just waiting for the screen to change after 10 seconds. Yep, there we go. Changed after 10 seconds. That's it. So we're done there. Now we just have one last thing to add, and that's score. And I'm going to let people catch up on here on the set timeout. But what I did is I went to controls, set timeout, I dragged it in, actually put it at the top because I want the first thing my code does is set a timer. Want my computer to read the compiler right in here. Compiler tells that the code is okay, the computer will run. It's run, kind of like throws things off. Someone said, I thought I had it, but the capitals threw me off. Yes, so for set screening here, when I type results, if I had a capital R in here, and I put a lowercase r in set screen here, it's not gonna go to the right screen. Programming is very capitalization character sensitive, is because you can create multiple different type of variables and such with all these different characters and different names. So a capital character and a lowercase character are two different things to the computer. It does not read it as the same thing. So you want these IDs and names to match them exactly. That's what I was talking about earlier. Kind of wish I changed this to bunny, but I have to keep it image one because that's the exact same name as this. It's lowercase I. Okay. That's a good thing to point out. And it showed a debugger after I did that. Yeah. If I did a capital R in here, run, actually, let's change. I'm going to subtract a 0 so we can get to it sooner. There we go. There we go. And at the bottom, there's Debug Console, and it gives you a warning of what went wrong. And there's like a little warning sign here. The yellow triangle is warning, the red is bug, as in nothing's gonna happen because it's broken. But right here, it's telling you like, hey, this ID does not exist. That's the capital R. Okay, so now we're gonna go and add our last thing here. And the last thing we're gonna add here is our score. So when you first start programming, you add things called variables or integers. It's called different things for different code. JavaScript, it's called var for variable. When you set a variable or you're creating an item to keep track. So we're going to create a thing called variable score. We name it score. So it's an item to keep track, equals 0 at the beginning. And then as we tap the screen, it counts 1 to the score for each time you tap on the screen. And then the computer keeps track how many times you tap the screen, storing it to that item we just made called score. So I'm going to go to variable right here. Under variables, there's a thing right here that says var x equals blank. I hover over it. It says declare variable. It declares and assign initial value to variable. When you declare variables, you want that to be at the top of your code so your computer can see that first before everything else. I'm gonna grab that, move that to the top. There it is. And if I hover over it, it's saying, it hasn't been declared yet. It's on your program. It's always like, that's a fine error. Nothing bad's gonna happen. It's just telling you it's not being used anywhere. So I went to variables, dragged var x, drag it in, and I'm renaming it to score equals 0. There we go. So I got var score equals 0. The next thing we need to do is add 1 to our score. Now this is a little bit of logic when you think about and let people first catch up. Give our score in there 0. So got to think about this. If I want to think about how you want to add your score, so you want to do something along the lines, think about, okay, I didn't want my score. Maybe it's 0 plus 1. You know, maybe I could do score plus 1. Yeah, that seems pretty viable. And what are you doing it? You're adding 1 when mouse down. So on event, image 1, mouse down. This one is the third one for me in here. I'm going to grab this thing that has like an x equals 0 in here. I'll hover over it. It says assign a variable. That is different from declaring a variable. Assigning it is just changing like some value from a previously declared variable. I'm gonna left click on that, drag it in, right in here. There it is. On event, image 1, mouse down right here. I'm gonna change this x to score equals, I guess 1 every time I, hit mouse down. And there. Someone else might even caught. I'm gonna test it. But someone else might have caught what I did wrong here. I'm just showing something here. Oh yeah, I need to change the time. There's actually something else we need to do here. I just realized that. We need to set label right in here. So we need to change that label on the second screen in here to change the number based on the score. So I'm going to go right in here to UI controls. I'm looking for set text. There's set text for specific element. Just dragging it in. And I'm going to change the ID here. That is score underscore label. Actually, wait. I don't want that to be in a button. I was just like, wait a minute. That's not going to work. I actually want that in my timer. There we go. Just have it there right at the beginning, setting score. Counts the score later. There we go. Changing ID in there to score underscore label. Change the text right in here to score. I could do that by going to variables. I could just do var x in there, but I'm actually just going to go in there and type score. Now, there's a difference in here. If I put two characters in there, you see these little quotation marks in here, it's going to change it to the word score. I'm going to show you. I'm actually going to change it to, again, make it 1 second instead of 10 seconds, so you need to go for this faster. So there, you see, you poked the bunny SC times SC. The first two letters of score in there because of the small box. That is because the character marks right here. So these character marks makes an item a string, an argument string, so it makes it to literal text. It'll change into letters on the screen instead of our variable up here. So to fix it to it's a variable, I'm going to get rid of those quotation marks. There we go. Score. Now it's different. Now I'm going to run here. So I'm clicking this multiple times. 1 time. Now we're going back to part where here is score equals 1. Oh, nope, that's not working. I'm going to run it again. I clicked it like 3 times there. Says 1. There we go. So this right here, score equals 1, is wrong. We need to change something in there. We need to take our score, add 1, but we don't want to change it to 1. We want to add 1. So we need to make our score to equal itself plus 1. So to do that, we're going to go to math right in here. Actually, not math. Is that the? Yes, math. Go. There's this little number here, the plus, right here. And drag it in. There we go. And score plus 1. So taking score to equal itself plus 1. So it's taking score equals current score plus 1. Now run. 5 times. There we go. Now it's the right number. I'm going to switch this back to 10 seconds. There we go. Many times again, right in there. I could, there we go, poke bunny 65 times. There we go. We're done. Of course, I'm assuming people are still adding in the get set text and the score in there, but we just finished our project. Now, with this project right here, think about what you can do next with it. How can you make it a bigger thing? You could add a timer in there that counts down in there while you tap on the screen and such. You could have it where it changes color and gets larger. Various other things. You can make it so much different any way you want. Maybe you can add more screens that do different things. It's totally up to how you want to transform it or do it with other. Now, if you want to show this off to other people, I'm going to go to share at the top of the screen right here. Share. And you can send a phone. This right here has a text message to send a phone. You can open up the phone like an app, or you can copy this link right here and send it to someone, or you can get the QR code right here or publish any way you want to try it out. That's how you share it. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to leave this up a little bit longer for people who are kind of like copying it and pasting it down. Also, I can just straight up show text. You still might have to change things depending on how you name different things. I'm just going to straight up, copy, paste in there. This is what the code looks like. I'll blocky mode. There you go. Otherwise, if anyone's got any questions, let me know. But that is the end of our webinar. So we just finished making our very first app with App Lab. We're poke bunny as fast as we can, and we get a score at the end. Now, if you guys have any questions beyond this, you can email us at hello@dospace.org, or you can go straight to our website at just regular dospace.org. And there's like a little chat box in there that you can connect with us and ask questions right there. You can get much a quicker response from that than email. Email is still there if you want to do like a really long paragraph question. You got a big question, you want it to be much more important and answered and such as that. But otherwise, if you do anything really cool in here, we'd love it if you guys share it with us with our Facebook page. And you can also check our YouTube page for other videos like this with YouTube DoSpace, youtube.com/DoSpace. Otherwise, thank you very much and have a good evening, everyone.